Now, in an article from Neil Wallace, front page of this week's Farmers Weekly, meat companies are warning new season's red meat prices are already under pressure as the lingering COVID-19 pandemic creates global uncertainty. While there are tentative signs of improving demand from China, elsewhere world markets are generally weak as countries grapple with resurging outbreaks of the disease and undermining consumer spending and confidence. Joining us to understand if AgriHQ senior analyst Mel Crode's ongoing commentary that there's a disconnect between what is being paid for store lambs at the moment and meat values into the future are correct is Alliance Group's General Manager for Livestock, Danny Hales. Welcome to Sarah's Country. Danny, thank you for joining us.
Hi Sarah, it's my pleasure to be here.
And I know with a name like Danny Hales, at the end of this interview, we're going to get some great recipes from you from the Northern Hemisphere. But Danny, Mel Crode has been going on about this for quite some time. Do you believe your livestock team and the prices you're passing on to third-party procurement agents are a bit out of whack with the demand for globally?
Well, Sarah, I think it's it's fair to say that the procurement prices that are being paid at the moment, I think pretty much across the board, aren't necessarily reflective of what's happening in the sales market, and it's not unusual for this time of year. So what I mean is that you've really got prices that are that tend to reflect more procurement tension. And so you have processors who are trying to fill their chains at their plants, and there's much more limited supply of animals at this time of year as we're sort of coming out of the season past and sort of not quite into the new season. So you find that it's really a sort of a supply and demand issue around filling processing capacity. So, markets are very volatile. I mean, COVID is still causing havoc around the world, really, in terms of red meat markets. And so some of the higher prices or movements, if you like, in scheduled pricing tends to be more motivated by, in my view, filling plants at the moment as opposed to reflecting what's actually happening in the market, the sales market.
Yeah, okay, before we get on to predictions and where that's going to head to, why has Alliance recently adjusted its price and the other processors that haven't?
So as a cooperative company, I mean, we've always made it clear to our farmer shareholders that we will be always endeavouring to make sure that pricing reflects the market. And so while there are a number of factors that go in and taken into account in setting price and procurement tensions well, which I've just mentioned, the reality is that sales markets have been softening, and so we've adjusted our pricing to our scheduled pricing in the procurement market to as best we can reflect what's happening in the sales market, bearing in mind that we do also need to compete. So it's always a bit of a balancing, juggling situation to try and get it right, but we are doing our best to actually give our farmer shareholders a best indication of what's actually happening in the marketplace. In the same way that when prices go up, then we will be putting those prices up and paying them, paying the benefits to the farmer.
Yeah, okay. So what about which shareholder? Because the mum and dad sheep and beef farmer out there has been priced out of that market, and it really stacks up that the margins are really in favour of the traders.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. Pricing is. We set pricing across the board, and in terms of traders, I mean, some farmers do like to deal with a trader. It's a farmer's choice. We always encourage our farmer shareholders to deal with us directly, given that they own the business, so it makes sense for them to do that. And by doing so, ultimately, that encourages sort of best price for direct supply.
What does this mean, Finn, going into November and the flow-on effect of new season lamb? Do we have a backlog in the freezer?
So, no, look, our inventories aren't too bad, but look, the reality is, Sarah, that markets are fairly gloomy at the moment, and that's really going through into December, really. We don't see any major sort of excitement in the markets between now and December, and that's all driven by just the volatility that's out there, or the uncertainty that COVID is creating. I mean, everybody will be aware of the impact that COVID's had on the food service sector, and so Alliance Group is trying to be as nimble as we can. So we're moving product around. So not only are we moving product from the food service sector and into the likes of retail, but we're also adjusting or modifying the products. So the end product that we're putting into the market. So we're producing, if you like, smaller items that are more user-friendly, I guess, for the consumer, and that they can take home and cook quickly and without any fuss. And so we are sort of moving around, adjusting of what we're actually putting through our plants in terms of our end product going into market, to match the changes that are occurring there.
And how has the government's commitment to ensuring air freight is kept at a reasonable amount to get our product, especially our chilled product, up into our markets?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, we do from time to time use air freight for chilled product, but generally our product is shipped. So, and the reality is that from time to time we do rely on air freight, but it's in the overall scheme of things, it's small volumes, and it tends to be in a situation where the customer is prepared to pay for the air freight. They have a particular need at a particular time, and the best way to meet that need and meet the timing is via air freight. But I think it's important that everyone understands that most of the product is shipped, but there is a need from time to time for that air freight. So it is important, I guess, to keep that avenue open.
While I've got you here, Danny, later on in the show, we're going to be speaking to Bernie Linsky from the Wallace Group, and now, of course, charging farmers to pick up casualty stock. The veal market's taken a considerable hit, and Alliance will certainly be feeling that. What sort of information are you passing on to your Alliance farmer shareholders around the flow-on effect that's having across their business, and particularly dairy farmers?
Yeah, well, it's in fact, Sarah, we just we put out a regular news, what we call a brief bites, which goes out to our farmer shareholders. We just put one out on Sunday, put it out every couple of weeks or so, and in there we actually provided some market information around veal. Look, again, bobby calf veal, the market is not particularly strong. We have got product going into China. And of course, the US is a market, and we've got some product going elsewhere, but it's not particularly buoyant at the moment in the same way that other product is being affected by what's happening around the world. So, look, prices are back for bobby calf veal, back on last year. Depending on how you look at it, you'd argue that it's perhaps not as significant as what it might be, but we might see some adjustment there.
Now, ahead of you on your calendar, hopefully not COVID dependent, the Alliance roadshow around the country, Danny. This is an important time of year to press the flesh with your shareholders. What are going to be some of those key concerns that they will have? Do you believe that you can bring some sort of information, knowledge, and assurance to them at this time?
Yeah. Well, Sarah, we have our Alliance annual roadshow meetings coming up late September through into October. And we would encourage not just our Alliance shareholder suppliers to come along, but anyone who has an interest in an Alliance Group, and those who may be wanting to find out some more information about the company, and in particular about the markets and what the company's doing. The season that we've just sort of that we're coming out of now, and also how we see the prospects for the season ahead. We've got an exciting product that can't tell you too much about it because it would ruin it, ruin the announcement. But we will be announcing at the roadshows an exciting product for our shareholder suppliers that they'll be able to participate in. And so, look, I'd really encourage farmers to get online and register for those upcoming roadshow meetings. And hopefully, the country's on a bit of a correction in terms of COVID, but we'll be happy to see as many people as we can at those roadshow meetings.
Now, Danny, I was just actually thinking, perfect opportunity. Joel, every time I've been, to anything with Alliance, you can guarantee the best quality meat. I've got to say, alongside Silver Fern Farms, they produce fantastic cuisine. Joel's in a bit of a pickle, Danny, around what to bring to this potluck tomorrow. We've had quite a few things come through here. What do you recommend, especially potentially a meat dish or vegetable? I mean, on Irish focus, it would be quite good.
Well, look, I'll tell you what, Sarah, it'd be remiss of me to go past something like Tamana slow-cooked shoulder.
Sous vide shoulder?
Yeah, it's honestly, once you try it, there's no going back. It's pretty good. And then for those who are beef lovers, the 55-day aged.
So what? Sous vide.
55-day aged.
So it's a sous vide 14 hours. Do you have that, Joel? But
I'll stick it on though.
It's worth it. It's worth it when you get there. Believe me.
I'll tell you what, it'll bring anyone to their knees, especially if they're a meat lover. Thank you so much for joining us, Danny Hales, there from Alliance Group, and a bit of an update on what's happening across the markets, and especially the procurement prices. Are they lining up with global red meat demand?
This is Sarah's Country.